St. Patrick's Day is coming around the corner faster than you think. Today I'm sharing 3 lucky recipes that are gonna wow at your next potluck, dinner party, or even just a weeknight dinner.
We're going to start off with a St. Patrick's Day charcuterie board. Charcuterie boards are one of my favorite things to make. I just feel like, for me, like that's my art. I love to kind of put things on something circular or square and fit everything all together. And that's the fun part about it. You can kind of take whatever you have and make it your own. So I did want to incorporate a few things that were going to be very, very St. Patrick's Day focused. So we were focusing on green and orange. So I started with a couple of kiwis, and the nice thing about kiwis is they're pretty expensive this time of year. I think I can get them for like 2 for $1, or sometimes you can get like those 2-pound packages of them. So there's something that I generally have around anyway. Like my kids love eating them, so it's something that I could easily grab and make look really pretty. Now, I didn't even know that I can do this, and maybe you already saw me post this in a short, but it's actually super easy to make your kiwi look really beautiful by cutting it in this zigzag pattern. I just kind of have like a really small knife, so you can take, I think, like a paring knife or even just like a sharp steak knife and go through, and it gave me like vibes of like that zigzag reminded me of like Charlie Brown's shirt for some reason. So I'm like, all right, just Charlie Brown shirt it all the way around, and you don't even have to be perfect about this. Like even if you mess it up or whatever, you really can't go wrong with it. And then you just pull it apart and watch this. How beautiful! Like, that's gorgeous. And you're going to shock your friends and family. They're going to be like, how did you make that? Really simple, actually easy. So now you know how to make a really, really pretty kiwi. So I did that with 2 of them. You could use as many as you like. And then I also wanted some cheddar cubes. Obviously, with your St. Patrick's Day, you may want to use Irish cheddar. I was laughing because I think I ended up with like Australian grass-fed cheddar, but whatever you have is going to work. But I like the idea of Irish cheddar on your Irish charcuterie board. You just want to cut that into cubes, the most like cube-like shapes that you can. I find that with some cheeses, they end up being more rectangular. You really don't need to fuss about this. Like, they're going to look fine when they're all piled up anyway. And that's the nice thing about the cubes is they're not going to look like in perfect line. I ended up cutting mine up even smaller because I'm like, you know what, the kids are going to have this. We don't need like massive cubes of cheese. So just don't worry about it too much. And then I grabbed a green pepper. Ideally, you want to grab a green pepper that has really like intense indents in the side of it, because when you cut it in half, it ends up looking like a shamrock, which is really cool. Mine did not, because I ordered it online and that's just what they brought me. So I cut it a little bit closer to the bottom, and then luckily those ribs in there actually kind of did make it look like a shamrock. And then the other half of the green pepper, you just want to cut up. We're going to use those slices for dipping. And then within that little cup of that green pepper, I'm going to take hummus, but honestly you can use whatever type of dip that you want. You could even use like a vegetable dip or French onion or something like that, and then just put it in the bottom. Unfortunately, I was kind of like off the screen there, but you want to put it in the bottom of the pepper and then just smooth it over, and you'll see that the green part ends up looking like a shamrock, and it's just like a little shamrock bowl, which is pretty cute. So then I took a wheel of brie, and I did something similar to this for Christmas with a Christmas tree. So you can take any wheel of brie and cut the top off. I got mine at Aldi, which is really inexpensive. So it's a great way to just grab a really delicious brie without spending a ton of money. And so you cut that top off. Unfortunately, when I cut mine, I actually recommend kind of cutting it all the way around, almost like we did with the kiwi. Because when I pushed it down like that, it actually broke on the edge. You see how it kind of like separated? And I didn't really like how that looked. I ended up putting my little cheese knife right over it so you couldn't see that. So in order to avoid that, just to kind of cut it all the way around the wheel in the future. And then if you have a shamrock or a clover-shaped cookie cutter, you can just use a cookie cutter. And that's what I did at Christmas time. I used a Christmas tree. But in this case, I actually ordered one. They literally came in today as I am doing my voiceover, but it was too late to actually catch the actual charcuterie board. So I was just looking over at the little shamrocks on my dish towel and kind of copying what that looked like with my little knife, and I thought it turned out quite good anyway. And so you just cut along there and make it look the best that you can. You can, be forgiving with yourself. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it is really super easy if you just have one of those cookie cutters. So I will put the ones that I purchased, and I'll be using the future to bake cookies in my Amazon store. I actually have like a Amazon list of all the things I'm using for St. Patrick's Day, so you can check that out down in the description box below. And then on the bottom part of the brie, you just put a couple tablespoons of your favorite jam or jelly. So at Christmas time, I did a red raspberry one. Now I'm doing an apricot for orange. And then alternatively, you could also use a pesto. Like pesto and brie is also really good together. That's going to be more of the savory version, and this is the sweet. So, choose what you like, but it's pretty simple to do. And then you just push that center of that brie out. And you can even use that for something different, like on the board if you want. In this case, I didn't. I just left that shamrock out and didn't even put it back on the board because I didn't really see like the right place to put it. But at Christmas time, I put that on top of a bowl of pomegranate seeds, and it looked really pretty. So there are different options. And if you think of something, one, comment below and let us know like what we can put it on, and two, like go ahead and just do it, because make it your own as always. And then kind of sticking with that St. Patrick's Day theme, I chose this gold-rimmed board to put my stuff on that I got at Target Dollar Spot like years ago. So unfortunately, I did put some different gold-rimmed trays in my store, but not the one that I have. But either way, like use what you have. And so I always like to start with the piece de resistance. Like the most important part of this for me was that orange shamrock. So I wanted to put that right in the center of the tray, and then we're going to kind of work around it. And yours does not have to look exactly like mine. What I do is I'll go onto Pinterest and I will look at different things that I see, different inspirations, different like options that people added to stuff. I look around my own cabinets and see what I have, because I don't want to necessarily go out and buy a ton of things. Like in this case, let's see, I had to buy the pepper. I already had the hummus, which was great. I bought some grapes. I bought the brie. I already had the jam. Mandarin oranges are always on sale this time of year, so I had them for my kids anyway as snacks, so I just cut one in half and put that on there. For the bread, you could buy a baguette and slice it up. I actually just had some homemade sourdough bread that I sliced up and put right on here. It works out perfectly with that brie. It tastes really good together. And then I also used some cheddar cheese. So I did purchase this, but this is something we would have probably purchased anyway because my kids love cheddar cheese. So it's just nice to kind of put that on there. And then we used our favorite gluten-free crackers, which we're not like gluten-free, but I do really prefer these crackers. And they're crumbly, right? So it's not the most beautiful thing. Like you don't have to have every perfectly procured cracker or, go out and spend $100 on this cheese board. Like this costs next to nothing for me. This was a whole meal for my kids. And it was just based off of like things we already had, and it ended up looking really pretty. And so then the cheese balls were just the lesser evil pizza flavored cheese balls. And they were perfect on there because they were orange. And then that way it's like a little bit of something for everyone, right? We've got fruit, cheese, we've got some different crackers to put stuff on, and even some hummus for dipping. And it's the perfect thing to serve for a crowd, to bring to a work party. And then you can see I just used that little knife to kind of cover up where that got a little crack in it. So even if you have mistakes, you can always cover them up. And I even put I had this gold spoon that I put right next to the hummus so that you could use that to kind of serve yourself some hummus. I really like how this turned out.
I bet you never thought you would find a St. Patrick's Day recipe in here, did you? But in all seriousness, I thought this would be a good time to talk about the sponsor of today's video, as I'm just aimlessly, mindlessly folding my laundry in my room right next to my bed and thinking about how great it is to have literally the best mattress. 6 months ago, I had my old memory foam mattress, which I thought when we bought it was gonna be a 20-year mattress. I don't know how long mattresses last, but I thought it was going to be a while, and it wasn't cheap either, right? So we got it, we really liked it, but what ended up happening, and really quickly with it, and then we didn't want to spend money again because we just bought one, was that it started getting a divot like this, super comfortable for a little while, but then it starts to actually remember you forever. So you can't move, you get stuck in a chasm, and my husband is heavier than I am, so on his side there was a particular one that was heavier and deeper, and so it would be kind of all roll over, which was terrible. And I've had friends that have said this too. So 6 months ago, we got a Helix mattress. We got the Helix Midnight Luxe with the Glaco Tex, I say it right, the Glaco Tex cover. So two things that I love about this mattress. One is just that it's super comfortable. And the next is that it's cooling. So when you get that cover, if you're a hot sleeper, my husband in particular, and even me, I'm kind of you get sweaty, right? If you get sweaty at night, you have to try this cover. It's amazing. It's actually so good that I recommended the Helix mattress to my best friend, and she ended up purchasing it too. And they have never been happier. Her and her husband, who were hot sleepers, are this feels amazing. they're sleeping better than they ever have, and they're just really, really pleased with their purchase, which is why partnering with Helix on this video is really something I'm passionate about. I really do think that if you feel like you've been in the market for a new mattress and you're feeling like maybe I want to go there and get one, go to the Helix website. They have a sleep quiz that you enter like the type of sleeper that you are, your size, all this stuff, all this information, and it's going to give you the best mattress for your sleep. You do it for yourself and for your partner, so they are going to recommend the mattress that works for you the best. Not everyone's going to get the same answers, which is awesome because we all are different. We all are different types of sleepers. Also, when you do go do that, you pick one out, you love it, you want to buy it, you're going to get a 100-night risk-free trial. So you get 30 days to sleep on it. If you don't like it for any reason, they will come pick it up and bring it back for you. So that is absolutely amazing. I do know a story of someone who bought a different mattress and they wanted to return it and it was a nightmare. So Helix will pick it up for you if for any reason you don't like it, which I just don't think is going to happen because they're beautiful, amazing mattresses. Right now, for my subscribers only, you are going to get 27% off. Go to helixsleep.com/mealswithmaria. You're going to get your order and you get 27% off. And that is through the 28th of this month. So that's February 28th. So you want to make sure you run and get your discount. Make sure that you're sleeping well. I really care about this, and that's just really why I wanted to share it with you. And I just hope that you get the restful night's sleep that you deserve. Remember, go to helixsleep.com/mealswithmaria for 27% off through February 28th.
Next up, we're making some avocado deviled eggs. So I just wanted to do like green deviled eggs, and I recently also tried to dye my eggs, but I wanted to use natural food colorings. So instead of like all of the, if you heard in the news, like all the terrible food colors that are out there. Well, the problem is that when you use the natural food dyes, it doesn't really work. So I was like, all right, well, I really want to do deviled eggs, but I want to do something green. So mayonnaise and avocado, like they're always kind of somewhat interchangeable. Like you can always do like an egg salad with avocado. So I figured let's just do avocado and our deviled eggs and make them green and make them St. Patrick's Day like. And then if you saw on there, I had some cilantro leaves on the top. They almost look like little clovers, so I thought that ended up being pretty cute. So I'm just going to make up 4 deviled eggs today, and you just want to start by hard boiling those eggs. You can use your favorite method. My favorite method is to steam them for 14 to 15 minutes and then put them in an ice cold water bath. Slice them in half and then put the yolks in a bowl. To that, you want to add 1 avocado. So that's 1 avocado for every 4 eggs. So if you're doing a full dozen, you're going to use 3 avocados. You want about 2 tablespoons of minced cilantro. I do end up adding a little bit more later. You could also use dried if that's what you have. You want 1/2 teaspoon of salt, but please always taste your food. And if you feel like it needs more at the end, go ahead and add that. And then just a dash of hot sauce. I just used the Frank's Red Hot, but you can use whatever you like. 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder and a squeeze of half a lemon. So probably about 1/2 teaspoon. Like it wasn't like using the whole lemon squeezer or anything like that. And then you want to mash it up really well. I ended up using an immersion blender off to the side. I love to use that to make deviled eggs. If you don't have that though, you can just mash it really good with a fork. It's just going to be like a little bit kind of lumpier, or you could even use like a food processor. And then this is like a pastry squeezer type thing. I'm like, that's the official term, a pastry squeezer. But I'm filling it up. And usually it has like a special tip on the end of it, but I'm just leaving it open, and we're going to be able to squeeze this into the bottom of the eggs. You do not have to use this. You can use a pastry bag with a pastry tip. You can use a Ziploc bag with a pastry tip, or you can just use a spoon in your finger and just put them right in there, and it's going to look fine too. If you feel like your avocado mixed with your egg, especially if you have really orangey eggs, is not green enough, you can, prior to this, add in a little bit of food coloring. You could use the natural food coloring. You could use the regular food coloring, whatever you want. But you can also add food coloring to this to make it look even more St. Patrick's Day-y if that's what you feel like you need. And once they're finished like this, you can put a little paprika over the top, or you can do what I chose, which was just taking tiny little leaves from the cilantro. Like you don't want like super massive ones, and a lot of times they are kind of big, but try and grab them down near the bottom, and they end up looking like little shamrocks. I thought they were pretty cute, and it's very festive. Next up, we're making Reuben sliders. I had shared these over on Instagram and it was like an instant hit. I could tell everybody wanted to see the recipe. So I'm super excited to be sharing these. So you just want to start with a stick of butter and melt it up. And we're going to make the sauce that goes on top of the sliders. So you want 1.5 teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce right inside of that melted butter. A tablespoon of, it's just like dried onion. You buy them in the spice aisle. And then 1.5 tablespoons of poppy seeds. And just give that a good mix, and we're just going to set it aside. I used a brush that I have that I'm going to kind of brush it over in the end just to mix to reduce the need for like a million dishes, which always happens. So then in a 9x13, you can slice your slider buns in half. You want like a package of 12. I ended up making homemade, and I used a recipe. I will put it in the description box below if you want to make your own slider buns, but you can also just buy them at the store. You can get the dinner ones, or if you like the sweet Hawaiian, that would be good with this too. I'm going to start with a layer of 6 slices of Swiss cheese. I just got mine at Aldi. They're pretty inexpensive. I think less than $2 for the amount of cheese that I needed for this. And then I used pastrami because that's what I could get, but you can also use corned beef. So it's your choice what you want to put inside these sliders. And even these are even good like if you're making a corned beef and then the next weekend or the next day or so you have extra leftover corned beef, you can use your fresh corned beef in the sliders as well. And so you want to put enough corned beef. This is about 3/4 pound that I used, so that you're layering at least 3 times over the entire thing. So 1 layer, 2 layers, and 3 layers. You want to make sure there's plenty of beef on here. This really tasted fantastic, so I really recommend giving it a shot. And then we're going to top that with a mixture of sauerkraut and Thousand Island dressing. So you want to mix about 1 cup of sauerkraut, and you want to make sure that sauerkraut is really drained. So I bought a big jar of it at Whole Foods, and then I just put it in some paper towels and drained it out over the sink, and then put it in my bowl. If it was wet, it would just get everything really soggy. And then to that, I mixed in 2 tablespoons of Thousand Island dressing. You can, again, make your own. I'll put the recipe that I used down in the description box, or you can just buy it and mix it in there. And then just evenly spread that over the top of the pastrami, the whole cup of it. You want to make sure that it's really the perfect amount. It's not too saucy because you don't want it to get soggy when it's in the oven. And then you also don't want it to be like all sauerkraut unless you're obsessed with that, which is totally fine. But this was really just the right amount for this amount of meat and cheese. And then we're going to top that with 6 more slices of Swiss cheese and then the tops of the sliders. And then you just take that butter mixture, give it a nice good mix, and just pour it over the whole thing, lather it up with that brush, make sure that everything is covered in butter and that onion mixture and the poppy seeds. And this isn't really necessarily a healthy meal, but it is a special occasion and it is absolutely delicious. So especially if you're going to an event or maybe like a potluck or a work thing, this is really going to wow people and you're going to be really, really amazed by how good it is. And you don't even have to make it just for St. Patrick's Day. Like you can make this anytime. So then you want to cover this with some tin foil. Just make sure it gets good cover. And we're going to put it in the oven at 350 degrees for 25 minutes. Then you want to take the tin foil off and cook it for another 5 minutes. And when they come out, they are warm. They are melted through. The butter almost like caramelizes or like crisps up the bottom of these buns. You can see kind of the brownness on the top of them. And it's just amazing. And so you can serve these with a little bit more Thousand Island dressing. Like it's nice to dip or add some after. I found that I really like to put extra on, but I didn't want to put it on while I was cooking them because I didn't want them to be soggy. So they end up crispy on the bottom, crispy on the top, ooey gooey, cheesy and juicy in the middle. And it's a really, really fantastic treat. This is a great to serve for dinner or at a special event. If you love these recipes, make sure to like this video and subscribe because I have desserts coming up and it's going to be Easter soon. We have so much fun to explore together.